what's happening in Donbas and how it all started. And whether you ask a Russian or an American or a Ukrainian, that answer is going to be very different.
It is going to be very different. And so, from your perspective there, and knowing the opinion of the Russians, why did this war start? Just very shortly, is it because I think in many senses it was the West and us that sort of provoked it, almost sort of invited them to start it. So, how do you think it started, and then what was the agenda of the West towards starting it?
Yeah, absolutely. Talking about the Russian perspective on the conflict, it all started for them in 2013 when there was this coup d'état which overthrew the democratically elected President Viktor Yanukovych, who was basically aligned with Russia. And Yanukovych was hoping to bring Ukraine into the new Russian-led Eurasian Economic Union, which is and was and is trying to be kind of the new capitalist Soviet Union, if you want to call it that. So the Putin and the Russian government, since about 2007, 2008, has been trying to rein in the former Soviet republics into this new Eurasian Union. And it was his hope that Ukraine would be a very key part of this project. And with the ousting of Yanukovych, that dream was sort of lost. And the government which replaced Yanukovych had many, if you want to call it, Russophobic sort of elements to it. And the people in Crimea and Donbas didn't want anything to do with the government which followed that coup d'etat, and they wanted to be closer to Russia in some way, whether that be through an autonomous region in Ukraine or part of Russia. So I think for those two reasons, that's why this all started. It's because at the time it looked like Ukraine and Russia were walking hand in hand in this new project, and then suddenly, poof, it was gone. As well as the direction that the Ukrainian government went in after that coup d'état.
So it looks like simply for historical reasons, Russia wants to have this alliance with Ukraine as sort of a buffer between them and Europe because very justifiably they don't trust Europe. And what are the West's motives, you think, in going into Ukraine? Is it the same thing? Is that they just want a buffer between Russia and Europe?
I think the purpose of going into Ukraine is very vast. And keeping in mind the point of Ukraine being the key to the success of the Eurasian Union is very important. Because going back to the days of the Soviet Union, Ukraine was the second largest republic in the USSR, and it was the most abundant in food resources and also in many natural resources. And if the Eurasian Union were to be successful, Ukraine would be a very important part of that. And by taking Ukraine away from Russia or pulling Ukraine and Russia apart in some way, that kind of nullifies Russia's chance of becoming a great power again, which is what Putin's whole mission has been since coming into office in 2000.